Okay, welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all Missouri students, sponsored by the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us tonight. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot hear or see you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at MOACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and also will be available within about a week at that same website, MOACAC.org. And now I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to our presenters.
Okay. So I think Jacqueline's going to get the presentation pulled up. And so my name is Casey Dudley. This is Jacqueline Burks. And we are going to talk to you guys a little bit today about Jefferson College. And so, you know, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat, and we can definitely get those answered. So Jacqueline and I both work in the admissions office at Jefferson College. We also work with academic advising and with financial aid, registration, dual credit, everything like that. So yeah, if you guys have questions about anything, you can reach out to either one of us. Our contact information will be at the end of this presentation as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Jacqueline, do you have anything to add?
No, I was just going to say, if you guys do answer questions in the chat box, Casey will kind of keep an eye on that, and she'll either respond to your question, or if she doesn't respond to your question directly, then we'll answer those at the end just live. So if we don't get to it, don't think that we missed it. If there happens to be a ton of them and we can't get to all of them, then we'll definitely follow up with you afterwards. So the first thing we have in our presentation is our mission statement. So Jefferson College serves our community by delivering quality learning opportunities that empower individuals to achieve their goals. And the reason we like to start with this in our presentation is so that you know Jefferson College is here for you, whatever your next step may be. We know that some of our students come to us to complete their general education and then transfer on to a four-year university. Some students come to us for career training. We're going to talk about some of those different options, but we do have a lot of different services and resources for students, regardless of what their next step is going to be. And we're really here for you from the time that you are even interested in the college up through graduation, whatever the next step is. So like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about some of those resources and some of the things that we have available to students, but also know we're going to talk a little bit too about the difference between a community college and a four-year university. And since Jefferson is a community college, we're also here to serve the community. So if you do live in Jefferson County, some of the things that Casey and I are going to talk about are available to you even without being a student, just by being a member of the Jefferson County community. So if you do have questions about that, let us know. But we do have students and just members of the community that come out and use our library and all kinds of different resources here on campus.
Okay, so why choose Jefferson College? And I'm just going to kind of read through these, and I'll talk a little bit about them too. So quality college experience, affordable and accessible, superior teaching and services, supportive learning environment, and then prepare you for success. And so just to kind of talk a little bit about that, we do try to be both affordable and accessible to students. So we do have multiple locations. We have our Hillsborough campus, which is kind of our main campus. It's where a lot of our career programs are housed, and we'll talk a little bit more about those programs later. We also have an Arnold campus. So you can do a lot of your general education classes there. And then we also have an Imperial campus, and our Imperial campus is going to be where our law enforcement academy, EMT, and paramedic programs are housed. But then we also offer a lot of online classes as well. So, you know, we as advisors really work closely with you to build a schedule that works best for you. So we want to be sure that you have a flexible schedule that works with your schedule outside of school as well. So, you know, if you prefer all online, or if you prefer a combination of online and on campus, or if a couple campuses work better for you or just one, we work with you on all of that. We also have a lot of resources and services for students as well. So we have an academic success center that has like a math lab, writing lab, science lab, all staffed by instructors that can help you with your homework, with test preparation. We also have peer tutoring. We have a library that you can use, and you can access computers, and you can print, and of course, you know, check out books and everything like that as well. And then we also have employment services, and they kind of help students with the really the job search, but also the resume and like cover letter building, and you can kind of do like mock interviews and things like that. We also have a disability support services office. So if you have a documented disability or an IEP, they can help to be sure that you have the accommodations that you need. So we do have all of these different resources and services for students, and we hope that with all of those that we are preparing you for that success for whenever you do transfer on, or whether that be if you're seeking employment after Jefferson College.
Okay, so we're going to go a little bit into detail about the different options that we have. So I'm going to talk about our associate degrees that are designed for transfer, and then Casey's going to talk about our associate degrees and certificates that are designed for career preparation. There is one other type of program that we offer here at the college. We do have some fast track programs through our Workforce Development Employment Services office. And those are going to be things that you can get a national certification for in really less than a year's time. Some of them are right at a year, some are a lot less than a year. Those are not really degrees, so we're not going to go too in depth with those programs today. But if that's something you are interested in, all of our information is on our website. We do have a lot of healthcare programs, and there's also some manufacturing, construction type programs for that as well. So to get started, we'll talk about the transfer options. So I'm going to skip the first one for just a second. So the second one, the Associate of Arts in Teaching, is designed for those that want to go on to become a teacher for grade levels kindergarten up through 12th grade. So if you're wanting to teach really any level within there, you will get your general education taken care of with Jefferson College, and also your first few classes with classroom experience where you get to observe. And then you'll be ready to transfer on to your four-year school, where you'll jump right into whatever grade level you're going to be teaching in that subject area. The Associate of Fine Arts is designed for those that are planning on getting a Bachelor of Fine Arts in art or music. The music track is the newer one, but that is something that we have a lot of interest in, and it's definitely a growing program. And then we have the Associate of Science degree, which is designed for engineering majors. So again, you'll do your general education, all of your math classes through differential equations. You'll get your first few basic engineering classes, and then once you transfer onto your four-year school, you're really going to jump right into whatever that major is in engineering. We do work with Missouri S&T and Rolla to create our program, but you can really transfer anywhere with that degree. And then the other one, the Associate of Arts, the first one, is the general education degree that's designed for transfer if you're planning on going on to get a bachelor's degree in pretty much anything else. So for our students that are planning on doing a professional degree, or if they're wanting to go to med school, if they're wanting to go to law school, if they're planning on going into psychology or social work or business, really anything else, the Associate of Arts is the degree that you would complete with us. So about 2/3 of that degree is made up of general education, and those classes are guaranteed to transfer to other public institutions in Missouri and some private schools as well. Those rules are a little bit different, but we do have a lot of private schools that are signing on to that agreement. And then the other 1/3 of the degree is made up of electives. So if you know exactly what you want to do when you come to Jefferson College, you can use those electives to specialize in whatever area that is. So if you are interested in business, you would do classes like management and marketing, business communication. Those would all be classes that you take as electives. If you don't know what you want to go into, then you can use that area to explore some different fields and kind of get some experience in a few different areas. And then hopefully you'll have made your decision once you transfer on to your four-year school. Oh, I forgot that I was clicking.
Sorry. So Jacqueline talked a little bit about the transfer options. I'm going to talk about the career options. So the ones that really prepare you for a career and prepare you for the workforce. And so the degree itself is called an Associate of Applied Science degree, and then you can get them in all the different areas that you see listed. But we do have some certificates as well. And so I will go, and I should say also the difference in the degree and certificate really is the amount of coursework. With the degree, you're completing the coursework in the particular area, so like the work area or the career area. And then you're also going to be completing some general education classes, so things like English and communication and like history or civics and things like that. The certificate is usually just going to be focused on that particular career area, and it won't be quite as many classes to complete that certificate. And so I'll go through these and just kind of talk a little bit about each one. Like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll definitely get those answered. So accounting, this is more if you're wanting to work alongside an accountant. So if you're wanting to work maybe as like an auditing clerk, if you're wanting to become an accountant, then you would complete the Associate of Arts degree that Jacqueline talked about and then transfer on to finish up a bachelor's degree. Automotive technology, so if you're wanting to work as a mechanic or technician. Business management, so if you're maybe wanting to work as like a general manager or run your own business. Childcare, early childhood education, if you are wanting to work as a preschool or like daycare teacher. And if you're thinking about going on, kindergarten through 12th grade, then you would complete that Associate of Arts in Teaching degree that Jacqueline talked about. Computer information systems, so if you're wanting to work with computer support and IT. Computer integrated manufacturing, and so this is within the realm of manufacturing. So you are, you're not only learning how to operate the machinery and the equipment, but you're also learning how to program it. So you kind of learn that computer side of it. So you get to learn how to program the machinery and equipment to be able to produce that certain product or tool. So you learn how to program and also how to operate. Culinary arts, emergency medical technology, and paramedic and law enforcement academy. So I kind of mentioned those earlier. Those are all located at our Imperial campus. Heating, refrigeration, and air conditioning technology, welding technology, and then veterinary technology. And veterinary technology is going to be working as an animal nurse. And then we also have a lot of different health occupation programs. So if you're interested in a career in healthcare, we have health information technology, which is really more like the business side of healthcare, so learning about patient records, medical billing and coding, that kind of thing. And then we also offer nursing. And so our nursing program, you can become an LPN, and then you can go on to become an RN if you would like to. Occupational therapy assistant, physical therapist assistant, and radiologic technology. And I always kind of talk a little bit about those because if you are planning on becoming the therapist, so like the physical therapist or the occupational therapist or the radiologist, then you would complete that Associate of Arts degree that Jacqueline talked about and transfer on and finish up a bachelor's degree. And then you would go further to complete, your education to become the therapist or the radiologist. But if you like the idea of working a little more closely with the patient, more hands-on work, then being the assistant or the technician might be something that you're a little more interested in. And so another thing that I wanted to mention about all of our programs is most of them are going to be something that you can apply to Jefferson College and immediately start. There are some exceptions to that. And so you would first apply to Jefferson College, and then you would have to fill out a separate application for admission to get into the programs. And those are going to be paramedic, law enforcement, and veterinary technology. And then out of our health occupation programs, that would be nursing, occupational therapy assistant, physical therapist assistant, and radiologic technology. And so what that means is you would just apply to the college first, work on some courses, there might be some requirements, and then you would apply to get into that particular program.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about getting started and just some other information that's important for you guys to know. So this next slide here is our annual cost of tuition and fees. And this is a cost comparison between your local community college and the four-year schools in the state of Missouri. So a community college is one that, so we talked a little bit about transferring, and the classes that you take at your community college are going to be the same as the classes that you would take at a four-year university. There are requirements within the state of a bunch of different areas, so things like communication, written communication, oral communication, natural sciences, so things like biology and physical science, mathematical sciences, social and behavioral sciences. So there's a lot of different categories that you have to complete in order to get a bachelor's degree. So this kind of demonstrates the amount of money that you can save if you go to a community college first before transferring onto that four-year school. So you can see the difference between your local community college and a public four-year university is going to be, it's about half. And then as you go on to a private four-year university, it's going to be even more than that, double more than that. So there is a big cost difference. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is your community college means the one that you belong to their service district. So for us, Jefferson College's district is Jefferson County. So anybody that lives in Jefferson County or has graduated from a Jefferson County high school is considered an in-district student. So the cost that they pay is less than the cost that somebody that lives in a different district would pay. And then the cost that somebody would pay that lives out of the state of Missouri. So there's different tiers, and that usually applies to four-year schools as well. Most of the time, the cost of tuition at a public four-year university is going to be less for the students that live within that state than for the ones that live outside of the state. And that's because public schools get funding from the government, and if you are paying taxes in that area, you have a lower tuition rate than those that do not live in that district. So it's the same for community colleges and public four-year universities, but the districts are just a little bit different. So a public university, a four-year university is going to be looking at the state, whereas we're looking at a district. And the districts can be different. So for us, it's very easy to tell because it's just Jefferson County. But for some of the other community colleges in the state of Missouri, it's not so clear what their districts are. So if you do not live in Jefferson County, make sure you find out which district you belong to and look into that school if you're considering a community college, because that is going to be the lowest tuition rate that you'll pay. However, if you're doing the A+ program, that will pay for your tuition, technology fees, and activity fees at any community college. So it does not have to be the one that you live in that district. So that is something to keep in mind. For example, we have a lot of students that come to us for our veterinary technology program that do not live in the county because it's one of the only ones in the state. But if you have the A+ program, you don't have to pay a higher tuition rate because your A+ is going to cover the cost of your tuition. And that's another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these numbers. Even though our average cost is $3,840 for a year, that's both fall and spring semester, it is typically going to be a lot less for our students because about 4 out of 5 of our students have some type of financial aid. So either A+, a Pell Grant, and actually on the next slide, Casey is going to get into that. So when we talk about financial aid, just so you kind of have these ballpark numbers in mind, you are going to be doubling the amount that you're paying if you go to a four-year school, and then doubling that again if it's a private school. And like we mentioned before, those classes are guaranteed to transfer, so it doesn't hurt you at all to start at a community college.
Okay, so Jacqueline talked a little bit about the cost, so I'm going to talk a little bit about paying for college. So there are different ways that you can pay for college, and there are different types of financial aid. So financial aid is one way that you would pay for college, and then there are different types of financial aid. So we're going to talk a little bit about the FAFSA in just a couple slides, but the FAFSA is really the very first step with financial aid. It's an application that you fill out with the federal government to see what type of financial aid you qualify for. And FAFSA is going to tell you if you qualify for grants or loans. And so grants, that would be money that's gifted to you from the government that you do not have to pay back. Loans, that's going to be money that you would have to pay back. And then scholarships are going to be, there's a few different types of scholarships. So there's state scholarships, and those are going to be things like the A+ program. So that's an example. A+ is a program where if you meet the requirements while you're in high school, the state of Missouri will give you a scholarship to cover 2 years at a community college. And so that's an example of a state scholarship. Another one would be like Bright Flight. Another type of scholarship is going to be an institutional scholarship, and that's one that is offered by the institution. So Jefferson College actually does have a scholarship application. It's on our website, and it will become available in October. And it's one application that you fill out, and you're applying for all of the scholarships that we have. And we have some that are full tuition, and we have some that are partial or don't say that they're specifically for tuition. And so, like I said, that will be available in October and you can fill it out on our website. The easiest way to find it really is just to go to jeffco.edu and type scholarships up in the search bar. And of course, if you have questions, you can always reach out to Jacqueline or me and we can help you with that as well. So that would be an institutional scholarship, so one that's offered by the college or by the institution. And then another type of scholarship is going to be an external scholarship. And those are going to be the ones that are offered from businesses and organizations from all over. So it might be like a local business, it might be a business from somewhere far away, and or an organization. And so the problem with that is, how do you find those scholarships? So there are different ways that you can search and find some of those scholarships. And one really good resource is your high school counselor. Your high school counselor is going to be able to give you a lot of information about that. But there are a lot of search engines out there. And if you go to the scholarship page on our website, we have a link to Scholarship Central, which is just a scholarship search engine so that you can look for and filter and find scholarships that seem like they might be applicable to you. Another one our financial aid office recommends is called Scholly, which is SCHOLLY. And Scholly is not affiliated with Jefferson College, but it's basically just another scholarship search engine, and it's an app that you can download on your phone, and you create an account for yourself, and then you can filter and search and find scholarships that are applicable to you. Scholly does cost, I think, a few dollars a month to use, so keep that in mind if that is something that you are interested in. So those are really the different types of scholarships. And so those are going to be the different types of financial aid too. So grants, gifted to you from the government, loans, money that you pay back, and then scholarships, money that you don't usually pay back. I always encourage students to fill out the FAFSA, see what type of financial aid you're eligible for, and fill out as many scholarship applications as you can, even if it's one for $100, because a lot of times scholarships are stackable, and so you can stack them on top of each other. And if you have any leftover money, you usually get to keep that leftover money, and that's really important because if you end up coming to, Jefferson College or a community college and you're paying, I know that the graphic said $3,800, but I'm going to go with $4,000 because it's an easy number for math. Let's say that you have to pay $4,000 for a full year, but you end up getting $6,000 in scholarships and grants. Well, you have $2,000 left over, and you can use that money for whatever you need, and you get to keep that money typically. And so that's why it's so important to apply for as many scholarships as you can, because like I said, a lot of those are stackable, and it can be very helpful to you especially if you're planning on transferring on, because that can help pay down some of those costs when you transfer on, and college does get more expensive. Or, you can use that money for books, supplies, gas, getting back and forth to school, just different things like that. So like I said, I always encourage students fill out the FAFSA first of all, and then apply for as many scholarships as you can. A+ does require that you fill out a FAFSA. A lot of scholarships require you to fill out a FAFSA anyway, so do that. And if you guys have questions, you can always reach out to us about that as well. If you're not planning on using financial aid, Jefferson College also offers payment plans. And so that way you can pay in installments. So you could of course pay in full, but if you wanted to pay in monthly installments, you could do that as well with a payment plan. And then other types would be like if your employer's paying for you to take classes, or maybe if your parent's employer pays for you to take classes, or if you're a veteran, or if your parents have veteran benefits. We do have an advisor that works with our veteran students as well. So if you do have another type of payment, we can definitely help you and talk with you about those options as well. Turning it back over to Jacqueline.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the cost and paying, the last thing that we're going to cover is just the steps to getting started. So the first step is to just fill out the application. So we have a free online application. There's no application fee. And if you just go to jeffco.edu, there's a video that plays, and right above that, there are a few links, and one of them says apply now. So you click on that page, it'll take you to our application page. Our application does require a social security number. So if you don't have that, make sure you get that before you start the application. But everything else is going to be basic biographical information that you probably already know. So it's just going to ask like your contact information, your birth date, that sort of thing. Any new student or anyone that hasn't attended Jefferson College for a year or more does need to fill out the application. And the step to starting the application is one of the more confusing ones, to be honest. So you'll click on the red hyperlink that says application, and it'll take you to a different page. And that page is going to have a username and PIN number that it asks for, but that's not something that you already have. It's something that you'll create. And you will use that if you need to log back into your application for any reason. But most of the time, once somebody starts the application, they just submit it, and then you'll never use that information again. So that's just for your application. However, once you apply, you're going to get an email if you've never applied to the college before, or if you have applied to the college before, then you'll get a letter in the mail with your MyJeffco login information. And that's something that will not change. And you'll use that to log into your MyJeffco account, which is your student portal, and you'll have a MyJeffco email address, and a lot of the official communication that we do through the college will come through that email channel. And then there's also a lot of online resources and things that you'll have access to once you have that account set up. So really all you need to do is submit your application, and then you should receive an email that kind of tells you your next steps. So like I said, if you haven't applied before, you'll be able to set your account up immediately. If you have applied before, then if you still have access to your MyJeffco account, it doesn't change. So you can go ahead and log back in. But if you don't have access to it, you will still get a letter in the mail. Everybody will still get the letter in the mail, and that usually takes just 3 to 5 days to receive.
Okay, so FAFSA, I told you to talk about it again, so here it is. FAFSA is probably everybody's least favorite part about college, because it can be kind of overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be, and just know that we're here to help you. So what the FAFSA is like I said, it stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's an application you fill out with the federal government, and it tells you what type of financial aid you're eligible for. So it'll tell you if you're eligible for grants, money gifted to you, or loans, money that you pay back. And so really, whenever you fill out that FAFSA, you just visit fafsa.ed.gov. It's something you fill out every year that you're in college. It opens up every October. When you fill it out, you're actually filling it out for, so if you filled out the one that is going to be opening this October, so the one that's just now going to be opening, you're filling it out for fall of 2021, spring of 2022, and then summer of 2022. And so, and that's the one that's going to be opening up. There is one out there right now, and that one is for students that are currently attending this fall, planning to attend next spring, so spring 21 and then summer 21. That's kind of the way that FAFSA always works. It's always tied to a fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, summer, and it always opens every October. And like I said, you fill it out every year that you're in college. So the first thing that you have to do is create something called an FSA ID, and that is what you're going to use to electronically sign and submit the FAFSA at the end. If you're under the age of 24, then your parent also has to create an FSA ID, and your parent will use that to link information from the IRS, which I'll talk a little bit about in just a second, and then also that's how they'll electronically sign and submit at the end. So when you visit fafsa.ed.gov, you can click a little link, and then that'll take you to the page that sets you up with that FSA ID. And basically the FSA ID is just going to be like a username and a password that you'll use. Once you've created that FSA ID, then you kind of start going through the FAFSA. So you're going to enter biographical information, and then you're going to enter school information. So you can actually list up to 10 different colleges that you want your FAFSA to be sent to. Then you get into the tax information, and that's where that FSA ID comes into play, because you can link that tax information directly from the IRS with that FSA ID. That way you don't have to type all of it in. And then once you get to the end of the FAFSA, you electronically sign and submit it. It goes to the federal government. It usually takes the federal government about a week or so to send it to the schools that you listed. Once we receive it, we review it, the federal government tells us what type of financial aid you're eligible for, and then our financial aid office begins to process that and to apply the financial aid to your account and everything. Now, sometimes students will get selected for something called verification. Verification is probably one of the things that makes people not like FAFSA the most, but it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong if you get selected. So basically, 1 out of 3 FAFSAs end up getting selected for this. And it's just the federal government randomly selecting you because they want to make sure that the information on your FAFSA is accurate. So if you get selected, they don't tell you, they tell the school that you're planning on going to. So they would tell us, and then we would reach out to you to let you know. And the way we reach out to you is through your MyJeffco account. And so you would just get a link that you would follow, and then you can complete the entire verification process electronically that way. Now, you might not even get selected for verification, but if it does happen, don't panic. Just know that you just have a couple extra steps to getting your FAFSA submitted, and we're here to help you through that as well. So you can always reach out to us. You can always reach out to our financial aid office, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through that and talk with you about it. And so, like I said, verification is something that you have to have completed if you're selected in order to have that FAFSA completed. So it is kind of like an additional step to completing that FAFSA. That's why it's so important that when you get that acceptance letter, when you get that email, that you, after you apply, that you get logged into your MyJeffco account. You kind of start keeping an eye on that email, checking it every now and then, just to see if you get any emails from financial aid about that or anything. And like I said, if you guys have questions, you'll have mine and Jacqueline's contact information at the end of this presentation. And then this is also going to be our contact information for student financial services as well.
Okay, so after you've applied and filled out your FAFSA, which honestly, if you're planning on starting even next fall, you can go ahead and fill out your application now. And like Casey said, the FAFSA will open October 1st, so just a few weeks from now. So you can really get a jump on those two steps. The third step is your transcripts and determining if you need to take a placement test. So we do not have admission requirements. So you do not need to take the ACT or our placement test for admission purposes. But we do use that for placement into classes. For your transcript, you just need to have your proof of high school completion. So it's best if you can send us an official high school transcript directly from your school. If you are a student that hasn't been in school for a while and you don't have access to a transcript, we can also take a diploma. So if you just have a copy of that, we can use that for your high school completion. Or if you completed the high set, you just need your certificate. If you have your scores, that helps too. But we can actually obtain a lot of that information from the state of Missouri. So if you don't have it, we may be able to get that. It kind of depends on when you took the test. And then if you have any college credit, you'll also want to send any college transcripts that you have. So if you have a transcript that, say right now you're enrolled in a dual credit class and you're taking pre-calculus at a school that's not Jefferson College, if you're able to log into a student portal and show us that you're enrolled in that class, we can use your unofficial transcript to place you into calculus for next year. And that's just an example. Calculus is not a class that a lot of students take their first semester, but it's an easy one to understand because you take pre-calculus before calculus. But if you actually want to transfer that pre-calculus credit to Jefferson College and have it count towards your Jefferson College degree, then you need to send an official transcript. And honestly, it doesn't hurt you in any way to send a transcript. So if you're able to, we do encourage that. We don't require that you send previous college transcripts for admissions purposes, but financial aid may need those, so you may end up having to send them anyway. But we do not transfer in failing grades, and the GPA that we use is your institutional GPA, so that from Jefferson College. So if you didn't do well in classes at a previous school, it doesn't hurt you at all. But if you did do well, then we'll transfer in that credit and it will apply towards your degree. So it can really only help you. The other thing I wanted to mention is, like I said, if you do have access to a transcript, it's best to send those because we can use the high school transcript for a lot of that placement as well. So our classes have reading requirements, writing requirements, and math requirements. And we look at a combination of your high school transcript, your transfer work, if you have any, and then your ACT scores if you've taken the ACT. And then if you need to take our placement test, then we'll let you know that, and you can take that before you enroll in your classes.
Okay, so really this is your last step, enrolling. So after you've applied, filled out that FAFSA, requested your transcripts and test scores to be sent over, or taken the placement test if you need it, then you're ready to enroll in classes. And so you can always reach out to Jacqueline or to me, and we can help you kind of walk you through that process of scheduling an appointment with an advisor, or if you want us to kind of check to see if you're ready to meet with an advisor, we'd be more than happy to do that as well. To schedule an appointment, You can either do that through your My Jeffco account, so when you have that login information, you can call, you can email advisor@jeffco.edu. You can also always reach out to Jacqueline and me, and we can help you with that as well. And then the other thing I wanted to mention too, when you do meet with your advisor, they're going to talk to you about what you're wanting to major in, and go over everything like that with you, and they can really answer questions about that. And they talk about the degree that you're completing and what's needed to complete that degree, and you know, they really work with you on that. And like I said, they also work with you on building your schedule and everything too. And we do have one thing that we didn't really talk very much about is we do have a lot of different clubs and organizations and things like that on campus as well. We also have student housing. So if you have questions like that, you can reach out to Jacqueline and me, or you can talk to your advisor about that as well, because you know, we provide a lot of resources for you, but also it's important that you do have that sense of belonging, that you get to meet people that have similar interests as you. And that's really great for networking whenever you're, you know, looking for a career in your future or transferring on to another school. But also it's just nice to be able to have that connection and find people that have similar interests as you and everything as well. So, so really that's it. So it's just filling out the application, filling out the FAFSA, having your transcripts and test scores sent over, and then you're ready to meet with an advisor and enroll in classes. And typically if you're planning on beginning in a fall semester, our registration for fall will usually open up as early as March or April. And I think students are usually surprised to hear that they can enroll in college classes that soon, even before you've graduated high school.
Yeah, that was something that we didn't really talk too much about, the timeline for those last couple steps. So for sending your transcripts and then for your actual enrollment, if you are a current high school student, if you're a senior, you don't need to send us your transcript just yet. Wait until your fall grades are posted, because then we can use that transcript to actually place you into classes if it's a 7th semester transcript. So you can send that to us in like February. If you are currently enrolled in any dual credit classes and they're through Jefferson College, you don't need to do anything. If you're enrolled in dual credit classes from other schools, it kind of depends on the class. Like we may need to see the transcript to get you placed into a more advanced class. But if not, then you can just send those after grades are posted in the spring, and we'll get those credits transferred in for you. And like Casey said, usually the end of March or the beginning of April is when registration opens. So then you can get signed up for your fall classes then. And if you're wanting to take summer classes, if you want to get a jump start, that registration normally opens in February. So you still have some time, so don't panic. You can fill out your application now, do the FAFSA in October, and then that way you can kind of spread some stuff out and then get your transcript sent in February. Our contact information is here, so if there's something that you think of later, if you want to, write this down or take a picture of it, this presentation will be available in about a week or so, I think. But if you think of something tomorrow, then our emails and phone numbers are here. We are in the office more now than we've ever been in our lives, so you probably have a good chance of getting a hold of us right now. But Casey, did we have any questions come in through the chat?
Nope, we didn't have any questions. If anybody has any, feel free to post those in the chat now. Another thing I wanted to mention too is this picture that you see is actually our campus. So it kind of gives you an idea of what campus looks like. If you ever do want to schedule a campus tour or anything like that, you can definitely reach out to us, or if there's a particular program you're interested in and you'd like to be connected to the faculty in that program, we can definitely do that as well. Any questions or anything?
That was a great presentation. Thank you so much. Very thorough and very, very helpful information. So we did have several participants, and I want to thank you guys for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's do this. Whoops. Yes. Okay, and so I just wanted to again thank our presenters and thank you to the participants for joining us today. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd certainly appreciate any feedback that you can provide. And a reminder again that this is just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions or check for a recording of this session or other sessions at www.moacac.org. we certainly thank you very much for being here, and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.